Okay, great. So today we are inviting Lisa here onto the show, and she is a licensed clinical social worker and therapist, and she has a lot of experience, obviously, working with people and seeing a lot of different kind of ways that people interact, and her own obviously beautiful story about toxic relationships and business. So, Lisa, do you want to just introduce yourself a little?
Hi, I'm Elisa Morgan. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of California of the United States. I'm excited to join you today and
Thank
just
you.
give you some background and history about what I do and how I help people and what
Amazing.
I've healed from, first of all, too.
Yeah, exactly. And so I guess my question for you then, my first question is, so tell us a little bit about your business or how it developed and how you got into what you're doing.
Well, I was a victim of child abuse trauma, and I also had some adult trauma.
Mhm.
And for me, I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, so I felt that calling to do something more, right? To live on divine purpose. So listening to the Holy Spirit, I had the gift of counsel, but didn't know I had the gift, right? So then I found out about going to counseling training, and I went and pursued my higher level education. I actually have two master's degrees, one in healthcare management and one in social work.
That's
And
amazing.
so and so listening to the calling, I've always helped seniors, disabled persons, mothers, fathers with children, and it's just been an awesome journey to help people. And helping people help me not feel so bad about my own trauma and drama. And so while I was healing myself, I helped heal others or empower others to do and live their best lives. And so I got my master's in social work, got called to do child welfare social work for a season, and then which led to the birthing of my business. I fully got so in the United States, you get pre-licensed, then you get fully licensed. So I was pre-licensed for therapy as a person who finished the master program, did therapy with clients, and then got fully licensed. And then I decided to launch my business, Kingdom Journey to Healing, and it's counseling, consulting, and coaching. Because if you're outside of the state of California, although I'm a mental health expert, you're only licensed in the state where you dwell. So it's coaching outside of the state. And so I help empower people to live their best life, overcome trauma, and live the life that you are destined to live by illuminating your path to healing.
Amazing. That is so beautiful. Um, and well, I guess my next question to you is, I guess if you're comfortable with that, is tell us a little bit about your childhood.
So my childhood drama I talk about in my book, Surviving the Chaos, The Journey to Healing and Legacy Living. My mother and father were both alcoholics and they broke up. Although they were married, they broke up when I was close to 5 years old. My mother continued to spiral in that state where I was subject to childish abuse, domestic violence. My mother was involved in, and I was sexually abused, and of some general neglect where I never knew when I was going to eat. So I struggled with my weight. I struggled with obesity. I struggled with self-esteem issues and not lacking of self-awareness. While I was a studious child, I used school to save myself and
Mhm.
overachieved a lot. Unfortunately, I still had poor social relationships
Yeah.
because my parents didn't model it. And then my father was not allowed to be around,
Yeah.
right? Because the domestic violence relationships my mother was in, they didn't want any of the men around. And so when my mom finally got to that place where she stopped that mess, she started her own healing, but I was already a victim, right?
Yeah.
So um, you don't know what's wrong while you're in it.
No.
It's when you start to slowly take those steps out of it, do you realize something's wrong. When I was a teen, I didn't know, when I was a little kid, I didn't know sex abuse was bad. Your body reacts to sex abuse
Mhm.
like anyone enjoying a sexual interaction. You don't know it's wrong till you get older and you're like, hey, that was not right. And you start asking more questions. So, of course, law enforcement got involved, but due to it was weird back then, statute of limitations or whatever, they let it go. They said it was inconclusive for abuse, even though I know it happened and I was able to talk about it in my high school therapy class, like when I had therapy in high school. But then I had to still do the work because my mom at the time was like, oh, you're starting trauma or you're starting drama, basically. And so she made me to be the victim, unbeknownst to her, about what I had been through.
Very
So then I
invalidating.
blame myself. Then I blame myself, right? And so through the grace of God, I found a therapist that actually validated my pain, normalized what I had felt as a child, and normalized what I was doing. Some kids become hypersexual. Some kids go into withdrawing. And I went into a hypersexual state as a teenager. And so not knowing what you're doing to yourself, your body, your mind, because you leave a piece of you with every sexual contact. You know, God's grace pulled me back in. And so I started learning about self-control, self-awareness, you know, the beginning fruits of what is self-love. And although I had 2 failed marriages, because I thought, oh, they love me, I didn't love myself, so how could they love me? And so now in my late 40s, I am experiencing wholeness, happiness, completion. I feel good all in my own self, my accomplishments. And I got Woman of the Year here in the city called the City of Azusa by our district, because I was volunteering and living my best life, supporting the community. And now I started my business and I'm helping people through my therapy practice. That's amazing. So it's a great thing, and I love what I do. And I write to inspire hope and healing. So Surviving the Chaos is available. I just released Tales from the Hood, which is designed to help people with problems with shared custody and normalize that you are grieving the loss of that relationship. And that's why you're going hard with not liking the other parent and so forth. And so I have several different things under my name, Lalisa Morgan, or you can go to my website, www.kingdomjourney2healing.com. So either way, you can reach me and get information. So it's like my books, my practice. I just want to help people heal. Some people are not ready to go talk with someone one-on-one. So I write to give them some seeds, right? Or some fertilizer so that they can start to heal.
Okay, so I guess my next question to you is like, let's dive in deep a little bit about the toxic relationships that you were in. Like, when did it begin? What was your journey through that? When you noticed it becoming toxic, when did it end? And like, what were the toxic traits that became like really apparent to you?
Well, it was like, for example, it was a 5-year relationship. And basically, in that relationship, it was a lot of insecurity. So I had known the individual for years. So I thought in my head that it was a natural fit. Like, I had dated, I had failed marriages, and well, I know this person. It's okay. So I let my guard down sooner than normal. And so what I learned is their insecurities, their narcissistic traits, basically kept me from producing the fruit in my life. Yesterday I had an experience, and I left my cell phone at home. And because I had there's potholes everywhere, it rained, I got a tire pop. So I left my phone home and I went to go take care of it, but I left my phone. And it dawned on me, this was the first time I left my phone and I didn't have a panic attack. So it really helped me resonate how toxic that relationship was.
Yeah.
Because I could not go to the toilet without my phone if we work in the same house.
Yeah.
And I would go to work. You know you're paid to go to work why is he calling me 25 times throughout the day? What are you doing? What are you doing? No, I'm at work. I can't even get peace with going to work. They weren't helping around the house. He wasn't doing any. It was like more work. It was like 20 kids, because I'm a parent, but my kids at least do some of their part. So I was emotionally depleted. I wasn't fulfilling any of my life goals. And for a period of 5 years, I was stagnant. I was stuck. I didn't love myself. I gained more weight. I didn't like to look in the mirror. My clothes were down to my ankles. I wasn't highlighting my femininity or my sexuality. I didn't look good to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I even went to work at night shift because I wanted to hide from the world. And so a friend of mine challenged me. He said, learn to love yourself. Rediscover who God is. And that's all he told me. And so I started sitting with God, and I started really, what does it mean to love me? What does it look like to love me? What does it look like to do the things that Lisa loves? And as soon as I started doing that, a peace came over me. And then I finally had the courage to end that relationship. And so basically told him, you got to go. You can't live here. Because part of discovering who I was, it says, what is my core value? What are my beliefs? And I was like, well, I don't believe in shacking. Why did I let this fool in my house? I let this fool in my house move in. I don't believe in shacking. Why did I let him here? It was manipulation. It was coercion. It was all those things, right? That catch you off guard. And so I put him out. I got the courage to put him out. And over the last 3 years, I have been just joyful. I found joy. I found peace. My son, my youngest son is 19. He says, our home is peaceful now. He validated that I did do what I accomplished, which was the peace. And so now I got book after book being released because I'm at quiet space in my brain. I'm able to write. Work doesn't feel like a drag. I enjoy everything I do, whether I'm working for myself in my therapy practice or working in child welfare. I love what I do. I love empowering people. I love helping people. So when you're in the toxic relationship, sometimes you are blinded in the dark to what is really doing to you. It's literally destroying you from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Inside out, and your body will deteriorate. You will gain so much weight sometimes, or you'll lose so much weight sometimes. It could go either way. I mean, I ballooned up to 300 pounds at my saddest state. And only because my son said, Mom, are you going to die? That it woke me up. It shocked me into doing things to lose weight. Now I'm 100 pounds lighter.
Congratulations.
And I'm at the most healthiest state as I can ever be. I can lift weights now, and I never could do it before. I will actually choose to take the stairs. I never chose to take the stairs before.
Yeah.
So I'm at the happiest I've ever been. I'm completely whole, and I want to encourage other women and men, if necessary, to heal, to embrace the life God designed you to have.
So when it came to like how you functioned at work during this toxic relationship, what did you notice begin to change about how you actually worked while this dude was coming at you?
Work is impacted by your inability to focus on tasks. You can't complete things in a timely manner. Your attendance may be off. Those are some of the symptoms that impact your work environment. Or what I did, volunteer for lots of overtime. I volunteered. I didn't want to go home. So I tried to justify being out of the home to have peace. I justified it by working overtime because I didn't want to go back to the house.
Yeah.
So I overworked myself.
Yeah.
And I didn't get enough sleep because I'm always at work.
So it really negatively like impacted your self-care.
Mhm.
Did,
I didn't take care of myself. I didn't get my nails done, didn't get my hair done, didn't dress the part. Like, I didn't dress for success. I didn't dress, I didn't go work out. I didn't eat good.
mm-hmm.
So I was destroying myself
And
until I awakened.
and so like while you're in this toxic relationship, like did anyone start to notice that this was happening to you? Like did anybody speak up and say anything to you?
In regards to family and friends, no. I would say no. It happened to be a colleague who just noticed that I never went home.
Mm,
And they asked the question, why don't you go home? You're always at work. And when I didn't have a quite an answer for them. And then that's when they said, you're a believer in Jesus. Search out what God defines who you are and love yourself.
yeah.
Those are the only instructions they gave me. We didn't have no other talks about that outside of me taking the time to invest in reading and the scriptures and really learning what God says about me.
And
And
did
that's
you
what turned me around.
yeah, and did you notice like any like workplace deterioration like between your relationships with your colleagues?
Socially, I was very short, so it's called projection, right? The anger and frustration I had at home, I would project. So if someone irritated me even slightly, my response was more agitated than normal. So that's what you do. You're projecting because you're not safe to say you're mad at the other person. You project on the other people who are not the target of your anger or frustration.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And like how are you like were you able to cope with your workload and other stresses at work? Or did you feel like everything was just too much and overwhelming?
Everything was overwhelming and it took me longer to do tasks. I did have what we call here in the States Family Leave Act that I had to use periodically because I would not go home. I would pretend to go to work and I would just go drive, go to the beach, something because I was so overwhelming. I preferred to sleep in my car for a season. I had a whole house, three bedroom condo, and I preferred to sleep in my car because I was so stressed from the toxicity of the house.
Mm-hmm. And where were your children at this time?
My teenager, he had just turned 18, and he noticed, and he also noticed. He noticed, but he wasn't saying.
Yeah.
And whenever there was a frustration or argument, I noticed he would just stand at the door, my ex just basically would try to calm down because my son was standing at the door. But I've heard of altercations with other clients that I've had where their son or daughter felt like they had to physically go in there and, fight the other person on behalf
Mm.
of their mother. And you never want your child to feel like they have to defend you to their state. I'm grateful I never had it go that far. But the fact that my son felt that he needed to stand at the door shows how toxic it was.
Mm.
How he talked to me was so tense and degrading that my son was like, hey, who are you talking to? So he
Mm.
stood there. He didn't have the courage to go, or he just thought in his mind whatever he thought, but he knew his mom was not in a safe space.
Mm-hmm. And so
And
you touched a little bit on like what happened before you called it quits in that relationship about how you got good with God and was able to see that, having him there didn't align with your values of what you referred to as shacking up. But like, so what exactly happened? Like what was the initiating incident where you were like, that's it, you've got to go?
he and I had went to visit a friend for their birthday, and he had asked me for a plate. So I went to get the plate, was bringing it to him, and he literally grabbed me like forcefully on the shoulder, and he said, "I'm tired of you." I'm done with you. Like, he just grabbed me, and I'm like, what the heck? So his friend is another man, noticed how he grabbed me, and he grabbed me by the back of my hair, which that wasn't foreplay. And so his friend, redirected him, and I was like, this is now turning physical. I am not safe if I allow myself to stay in this relationship. I am not safe. And there's nothing cute or pretty about getting shocked in that kind of way.
No.
Because it gets worse from there. And you can try to forgive them. I did forgive, but I did not forget. And I still took the steps to ensure my safety. Unfortunately, a lot of women or men, they don't take the steps to ensure their safety. They allow that toxicity to continue, and it goes from a grab or a shake to a beating. And I've seen men equally be beat down by their partner as women. And I didn't want to be black and blue. I didn't want that for myself, and I didn't want my son to witness that. So it took me, I want to say, about 3 to 6 months from that incident to have the courage to say, you got to go. From that point, they slow dragged leaving, right? Justification was COVID, right? But I was like, no, you got to go. And so they were gone within another 3 months after that. But then they went, that individual went back to their own toxic relationship. The last one let them back. I was like, yeah, I healed. I'm not like that.
Yeah. And I guess reflecting back as well, like from that time, like how much did your business like suffer during that relationship that you can see now?
I can see that I could be 5 years more into my business had I not been in that relationship. I would have passed my state board way faster because I was so stressed between the house life that I couldn't study for my clinical exam. I ended up taking the test 4 times, and I know the material. It's like, I know this material. Why can't I pass? I was so stressed. I couldn't concentrate. I literally had to go to a hotel for 2 weeks in order to pass my test.
Yeah.
Again, I could not be home. And if you're going to pay rent anywhere or buy your house and you can't go home, it's a problem.
And so, like, what lessons did you learn during that time of toxicity that you were able to transfer over into growing your business now?
One, clearly identifying my core values and beliefs and how I want to live my life. I love me. So it's me, me, me. And then, of course, God. And then my family, and if I choose to date, my partner, right? So if you're not loving on you, you're not holding true to the 8 domains of wellness and making sure your life is in balance. My spirituality was my anchor in who I am. So without those 4 items being together, I can't get to loving my family or loving any other person.
Oh, you've gone muted.
I have to be in balance myself.
Yeah.
I have to be in balance myself
in order to give anything. I forget the name of the lady, but she said, you can't give from an empty cup.
No.
And I like to say, you need to give from your overflow. If you don't have everything you need to make yourself whole, you can't do well by your children or any significant other or any other relative friend or any other social connection. You have to be grounded in yourself.
And so how is that promoting? How is that helping you grow your business? Like, are those skills that you
first of all, I had to leap. I had to jump. And I jumped, and I had the courage to jump. And now My practice is 80% full. I love what I do. And I have energy and ideas, and my business is growing. Like I said, I released a book yesterday.
Yeah.
Another one just yesterday, and I was like, I'm finally at a space where I can be creative. I'm confident. I'm able to care for the people who are in my circle, and I don't reduce caring for me. I go to the gym 3 days a week. Love on me. I eat healthier choices. I have my cheat days.
Mm-hmm.
I had pie last night, but I give myself permission. And the number one thing you have to remember: forgive yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we're so hard. Oh, you should have known better. Well, sometimes we have to go through it. Sometimes we have to go through it to learn and appreciate the peace, the calm of your own brain, to know what's healthy for you and what's not. What is your real concept of what is love? Right? When I took Gary Chapman's love language quiz and learned that I like quality time and physical touch, and learning what love manifests. I'm a real gift giver, but then if people don't do reciprocate love, why are you in that relationship?
Mm-hmm. And so
the takers are the problem.
Yeah. So if you could give any advice to any woman now that's currently trying to launch a business or working a business and in a toxic relationship, what would that advice be?
Your business will not grow if you don't love yourself and invest in you. So invest in you, invest in loving you, invest in self-care. Your self-care is gold. Your health is your real wealth. So if you're not healthy, mind, body, and soul, you're not going to grow your business. You're not going to be the anchor to the family that you need to be. So take care of you. That's your first line of business, is to take care of you.
Okay, so Lisa, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I will get you to send me the links, and we will post those against the video. So if anyone wants to get in contact with you, they can. But yeah, so I just want to say thank you so much for sharing openly and being your most authentic self and being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's all right.
Bye.